Coming up in today's show, stalking is not a crime in New Zealand. Later we'll hear from a stalking victim.
The live music scene in Wellington has seen better days. We sent a reporter into the night.
Are you a gal in need of a pal? We look at a new way to make friends based right here in Wellington.
Sex education in our schools is criticised for not preparing their students for reality or being inclusive.
Wellington Zoo is home to a very special creature who we'll get to know later on. Tēnā koutou, and welcome to Te Taniwha. I'm Paris Eibel.
And I'm Jessica Bleach. This morning we have lots of stories covering everything from the music scene to politics.
Now, joining us in the studio are our amazing reporters, Maddie Whittaker and Katie Hunter. Heads up, guys.
Good morning, guys. Kia ora.
How are you guys this morning?
Oh, I'm feeling pretty fantastic. How about yourself, Katie?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm excited to get the show started. What about you guys?
Yeah, no, super pumped. What about you, Paris?
Kei te tino pai aho. Now, Maddie, I heard you went down to the zoo a little bit earlier on.
That's right, I did. I got to check out some pretty cool skinks.
And Katie, you're reporting on an important topic today as well.
Yeah, so I'm speaking with some students with ADHD about what support they're getting from their universities.
And we'll hear more about those later on. On to our first story. A nationwide campaign for making stalking a crime was set off by a tragic event in Massey, Auckland this year.
8 weeks after pleading for help from police, 21-year-old Fazana Jacobi was found murdered by her stalker. Her tragic death has sparked a nationwide protest in New Zealand as more than 21,000 people petition to make stalking a criminal offence. Leonie Morris, chair of the Coalition for the Safety of Women and Children, says that current law does not do enough to protect stalking victims. After meeting with Justice Minister Paul Goldsmith, Morris launched a petition, gathering over 21,000 signatures.
We've been trying to get the government to criminalise stalking for about 4 years now.
Despite the petition's success, stalking remains a serious threat to New Zealanders. Sarah, a victim, was stalked for 3 years by her co-worker.
I was stalked from the age of 18 to 21.
Sarah quit her job, thinking she would never see him again, but it only got worse.
A week later, my car was broken into, and a week after that, my house was broken into, where the only thing that was taken was my underwear. He targeted my Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, LinkedIn, email, TikTok, and even my Spotify accounts.
Because Sarah had no romantic involvement with her stalker, she was unable to get a restraining order. After the petition was handed to Goldsmith in March this year, he promised action. In a statement to Te Taniwha News, he said, "The proposed legislation put forward by the petitioners is a great starting point." Labour Party's Ginny Anderson counters with her proposed bill to criminalise stalking, which would see stalkers facing prison time of between 1 to 3 years.
So I believe that by making it a law, it will prevent instances that we saw, such as with Fazana.
Many New Zealanders still don't know that stalking is not a crime.
No, I didn't know that.
No.
I did not. I was not aware of that.
With the future of stalking legislation hanging in the balance, it's time for our leaders to act now, before Fazana's story is repeated. Jessie Davidson, Te Taniwha News.
4 years is a long time to be petitioning for change and not to see it.
Absolutely. I think from the story we can tell most people just don't know that it's not illegal,
Yeah.
so it doesn't get a lot of traction there. If you or someone you know needs support, you can reach out to the Manaaki Tangata Victim Support Line.
Another way to get support is by talking to friends, but forget the local pub to meet new people. Younger generations are turning to social media to make friends.
Despite everyone calling you mate, it can be a little hard to make friends in the Windy City. More than 21,000 women in Wellington have joined a Facebook group called Welly Gal Pals to connect with other women in the area, but there are some risks to meeting people online.
Virginia Roberts moved to Wellington alone. Working odd hours as a nanny, she wanted to meet new friends and used the Welly Gal Pals Facebook group as her starting point.
It's a great way to branch out of like your maybe normal group that you would have. You can meet some really cool people. Like I've met people that live in Ireland and Scotland, not just people from maybe Wellington or where you are.
The 23-year-old isn't the only one using social media to connect with people. Psychology lecturer Dr. Kongming Lu says people use social media to join online communities.
It's really cool, like this idea of people coming together over a shared interest on social media. This is exactly what social media is fantastic for.
But Roberts knows there are risks to messaging people on social media.
In person instead of like online, they could act completely different.
Welly Gal Pal's creator, Chrissy O'Reilly, used to let members post anonymously.
But we've kind of stopped that now because it kind of takes away from the integrity of, meeting people.
Dr. Lu says that anonymous profiles can help people reach out to others, but he says that posting as yourself can make the quality of the social connection better.
Because they're real people, you can put faces to them, they tend to be a bit stronger in the depth of friendship.
There are mixed opinions about meeting friends online.
If you're not, meeting people more organically, I think it can be a really good way.
I think it's fun, but it's always like risky.
It is
like,
a bit risky. Yeah.
Some people have the wrong intentions.
I think it's a nice way to start the friendship or get the conversation going.
Roberts says she thinks people should be open to using social media.
Why not try it? I mean, as long as you feel safe, it's kind of fun. You meet people from all over.
And it's helping people like Roberts feel less alone in the capital. Jessica Bleach to Taniwha.
It's really interesting to see how women are meeting people online these days. Is there a group for guys like me?
Well, there actually is, Paris. It is relatively new, but it's called Welly Boys Club, so you could give that a search.
Yeah, I'll give it a try for sure.
And what was your experience making new friends when you moved to Wellington?
Well, I moved to Wellington after leaving high school back in 2020. I worked for a year, so I had a job and I met people through that. So that was a great way of making friends. Then coming to university, obviously, I met a lot of friends. I joined a rugby club, so I met friends that way. I've never met anyone online, but maybe I'd give that a try for sure. How about you, Jess?
Well, I moved to Wellington after high school as well, but I knew no one, but I did go into halls, so it was a little bit easier for me, but I've also, you mentioned uni, and at Taniwha we've made heaps of friends.
Heaps of friends.
And we're going to learn about what Taniwha is and the story behind it. So we follow the story of Tū Taniwha, Ngākei and Whataitai. Long ago, before Kupe's time, Tū Taniwha, Ngākei and Whataitai lived in a lake that would become Wellington Harbour. Ngākei, energetic and adventurous, dreamed of the vast sea, while Whataitai preferred a leisurely life by the shore.
One day, Ngākei broke through the cliffs to reach the ocean. Whataitai, the less active Taniwha, followed, but became stranded between the lake and the sea. Over the years, he survived, eating the fish that would be brought up to him during the high tide, forming bonds with the birds and sea creatures, until an earthquake lifted him high above the water, leading to his end.
His spirit transformed into the bird Takeo, who mourned for her friend, while his body became the land known as Hataitai. The very top of Mātairangi, or Mount Vic, is still known today as Tangi Takeo, or the Cry of Takeo. Ngākei, meanwhile, is said to roam the tumultuous waters of Te Moana o Raukawa, or the Cook Strait, embodying the restless spirit of exploration.
And it is this spirit of exploration that guides our show today. And now we're going to meet another being that has been in New Zealand long before we have. Wellington Zoo has launched a recovery program to save one of our taonga, the Whitaker skink. And Maddie, one of our presenters, has a special connection to the species. We'll hear from her soon, but first, let's meet the little fella.
A very secretive animal, this little lizard is almost locally extinct. That's why Wellington Zoo and the Department of Conservation has started a new breeding program for the Whitaker skink. Conservation Manager Dr. Ox Lennon believes they and their colleagues can help the lizard get back on its feet.
The final target would be to return this population back to wild in the Wellington region. Sometimes you don't know what effect that has on the rest of your ecosystem or what you've lost until it's gone.
Senior Ranger from Department of Conservation Brent Tandy says predators are to blame for the skink's dramatic decline, but also human activities.
All along the coastline, slowly but surely it's either been built up or degraded.
Pukerua Bay used to be the skink's home, and it was here in the 1970s that the late herpetologist Tony Whitaker discovered the small creature.
I was his wife for 48 years.
Vivian Whitaker, the wife of Tony and my grandmother, remembers Tony's love for nature vividly.
A relative in England described him as having wonderful blue eyes. This is as a 5-year-old and looking at the world in total wonder. And I don't think that ever left him.
Zookeeper Ben takes care of the 17 lizards in the habitat at Wellington Zoo.
Currently, we have 55 in the whole population, of which 17 of those are here at Wellington Zoo.
So we're about to do something very exciting. We might be able to see a female skink, a Whittaker skink, and I haven't seen one since when I was about 12, when I was with my grandfather Tony, so this is very exciting to see one now.
Hopefully, he should come flying out of there. There we go.
Amazing. The emotion that just went through me was all the memories from my grandfather teaching me about lizards and skinks. It will take up to 8 years before the skink numbers are high enough to release them back into the wild. But even then, Vivian Whittaker is sure on how Tony would have felt.
I think he would be thrilled with it, pleased to know that the lizards were going to be cared for and a real effort made to keep them going.
A real effort indeed. Madison Whittaker, Te Taniwha News.
What a cute little guy, eh? You must have really enjoyed getting that opportunity there. And have you told your grandmother that you've seen a Whittaker skink again yet?
Yes, I did actually. So after I visited Wellington Zoo, I called her up and I said I was able to see one of the Whittaker skinks because the last time I saw one of them was actually with my grandfather about 12 years ago. So being able to see it and be able to share it with my grandmother and even the rest of my family was just incredible.
Yeah, that's really awesome. And you've obviously mentioned your grandfather a few times. Are there any particular memories of him that stick out to you?
Oh, there's definitely quite a few, but one of the best ones is every school holiday, my brother and I, we would go down to our grandparents' farm, and at 3 p.m. every single day we would get skinks, lizards, frogs, snakes, all sorts of things in the mail, and we would have to put them underneath a microscope and look for parasites, and then we would bottle them up with alcohol, put them in jars, and then store them out in our back room, which we still actually have.
Oh, wow.
And that was like a huge memory because my grandfather got to show me his work. So it wasn't just him pulling me aside going, look, we're going to do this. It was actually him showing something that he really loved and he dedicated his life to. So that was awesome. And then another memory was when my grandparents took myself and my brother and my family to New Caledonia when I was 5 years old.
Awesome.
And I was swimming around in the sea and I thought I saw a stick. And I pick it up and I'm waving it around going, look what I found. And I hear my grandfather yelling at me saying, put that down, that is the deadliest sea snake in the world.
Oh, gosh.
So I thought I just found this very cool stick that was black and white striped. It wasn't.
No.
It was the deadliest sea snake in the world. Luckily I never got bitten, but he taught me never to be afraid, and I think that's really important for everyone, but it's something I hold true to my heart.
Yes.
Who knew a stick could be so dangerous?
I know, right?
So what would be your advice for people wanting to help conserve the Whittaker skinks?
Oh, the best advice that I could give to people of Aotearoa is keep your dogs on a lead, keep your cats inside, and please, please, please stick to those tracks while hiking.
Later in the show, we're exploring the rave scene in Wellington. We'll also look into the support available for university students with ADHD, and we'll tackle an intriguing question. Does e-sport distract from traditional sports?
But first, our next story covers something we all should have learned more about in school: sex education.
Sexual education is a sticky topic. With current guidelines set to change, Kiwis are left wondering if their own sex ed was sufficient. We got 3 women to come together and dive in head first. No protection.
They just put us all in a room and then they just showed us a bunch of images of infected people and their private parts.
Yeah, all they really told us was that the penis goes in the vagina, and that's kind of it.
We just had to scream out penis and vagina, and then we were told that you bleed out your cooch once a month.
I do think there needs to be early conversations about what sex is, because if all you know about sex is the stuff you're learning from TV. In the movies, right? Everybody's having sex super young, and then you're like, yeah, I'm gonna go have sex, but in reality, you should calm down.
Well, people think that children are not really curious about that. Children are weird as fuck.
Kids will always be curious, and as soon as they start feeling things they've never felt before, they're gonna want to explore, and they're not gonna know how to do that safely. I think a very big hole in the sexual education system is consent.
Ideally, there should be a lot of talking about, like, are you ready? Do you want to do it? What do you want to do when we get down to it? Make sure that they're comfortable, make sure that they're happy with what had happened, and then if they're not, give them the support that they need.
No one ever talks about it. It's literally like, stick your penis in this lady's vagina, pump a few times, piss off.
And it's just because they don't talk about it. And I think girls have needs, just like men do.
What if I want to play with my
Exactly.
cooch? Very important, flick the bean at all times that you feel like you want to and in all places appropriate. Not just like sex education of like, you know, cis straight people.
Yeah.
Because there is gay people in this world, like they're getting it in too.
So now we've learned sex education is obviously important. You should have showed that story to 12-year-old me. I was absolutely way too embarrassed to pay any attention during sex education, so I've completely forgotten everything that I learned.
Alrighty, well, we do have our reporter, Katie, to help us give us a reminder.
That's right. In a moment, I promise that you guys are going to know so much more because it is sex ed quiz time. Wonderful. So today we have 5 true or false questions. As you can see, we've got a little bell on the table. Once I have finished reading out the question, first person to ding gets to answer the question.
Sounds good.
Alrighty.
Are we ready to get started?
Yes, let's go.
All right, our first question. The clitoris is the only bodily organ that exists solely for pleasure.
What?
Who got that?
No, you got that.
Alright, well, we'll go true.
That is correct.
Yes! Good.
Huh.
Exists solely for pleasure.
Oh, right. Oh, okay, yeah, I get that. That makes sense. I was trying to figure out how that one, yep.
All right, moving on to our second question. Sex offers natural pain relief.
True, probably. Yeah, I think that's probably true.
Yep, that's correct. So during sex, your body floods with endorphins and they interact with your pain receptors in your brain and the transmission of pain signals. So
that's amazing.
Pretty cool fact. Now,
don't need Panadol then.
So we're currently 1-1.
One apiece.
Ooh.
All right, it's tied up.
So our third question. The most common cause of penile rupture is penetration.
No, that's got to be false.
That is correct. Do you know what it is?
No, like something else? Anything else?
It's actually masturbation.
Oh, okay. Yeah, a little bit aggressive, I get it. Sorry.
All right, moving on to our fourth question. Orgasms can't lower a woman's risk of heart disease, stroke, breast cancer, and depression.
Maybe the question one more time.
Orgasms cannot lower a woman's risk of heart.
That's false. They do lower.
That is correct.
I thought you were going to get tricked by
Tricky
that
with the
one.
words. Tricky with the words.
Yeah.
All right, well, it seems that this is going to be our tiebreaker question.
All right.
All right, are we all ready?
Hands on the table.
Okay.
Okay. Number 5. You can get STIs from oral sex.
That was me. That's true.
Everyone knows that's
We have
true.
a winner.
Woo!
Go
yes!
Well, I hope you guys both learned something today.
Oh yes, Katie, I've definitely learned something new.
Oh, look, in Paris, you can share these important facts with your friends the next time you go for a drink.
That's an interesting idea. I'm not completely sure I'm going to do that, but thanks for the idea.
Alrighty, well, you might just want to grab your friends and go listen to some live music because Wellington's live music scene is going through a rough time.
Over the past few years, Wellington City has undergone constant earthquake proofing and city construction, leaving hospitality businesses struggling, and among them our widely loved live music venues. Dominic Kelly describes how his business was forced into closure.
We had at basically no notice, we had Wellington Water turn up, fence off the centre of, strip down the centre of Taranaki Street, and we got a pamphlet saying that it's a 21-month project. It obscured us, it made the whole area less inviting.
On top of construction, the cost of living crisis has made it harder for gig goers to go out and support local artists.
What are you guys' opinions on like paying for gigs?
I think less than like 25 bucks. Yeah. Any more than that, I'd be like, I'm not paying $30 to see a random guy.
You know,
live music is really struggling at the moment, so it's really amazing that you've all come out. I guess because people have got more options in terms of entertainment, so it's sort of a little bit harder to get people to come out and go to gigs now.
Philip opened his bookstore only last year, running regular music events with a koha donation, advocating for supporting artists.
The place is marked to be demolished, this whole building, and the developers want to put up an apartment block.
I think Wellington nightlife has been bustling and interesting and fun for whatever that is, 30, 35 years. And it feels like we're coming to the end of a 30 or 40 year long run right now.
Though artists are struggling for space to perform, there is hope for the future. Miao Nui, Wellington's largest new venue, opens next week, and with inflation subsiding, more customers are expected to be back, bringing life again to Wellington's venues. Noam Lazarus, Te Taniwha News.
Look at you, Jess. Not too bad. They told me you couldn't play.
Hey, someone lied to you.
Yeah.
But we do have an actual musician with us today. Hi, Zed.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, not too bad. Thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, thank you for coming. So the live music scene is a little bit difficult right now. How is that affecting you?
It basically affects me in the way of lack of accessibility. There have been so many times where I've wanted to book a show with one of my bands and I just couldn't because every band is trying to get into venues and they're always unavailable 4 to 5 months always in advance.
Wow.
So it takes so long to try and book a venue. Hopefully, now with this new venue coming in, that can change for the better and more accessibility is here.
Yeah, so we know it is hard to get in, but do you have a favourite venue in Wellington to perform at?
Oh, there's only one that I've actually played at, and it's Valhalla. Obviously, being a metal musician, it kind of fits with my image. I am really excited, though. I am playing at San Fran next Wednesday with my band that I drum with, so I'm really excited for that as well.
Awesome, yeah. Awesome opportunity. So you play heavy metal. We're going to listen to a little bit of it. I can imagine Paris at one of your gigs.
Yeah, hell yeah, I'd be there all day.
You fit right in.
Yeah, of course. Maybe not with the outfit, but everything else.
We'll get you in some nice denim.
Yeah, of course.
Good, good. And so in the video you were doing, metal musicians, do they do like a growl or a scream?
Yeah, so there's lots of different techniques and they always take a bit of practice. I might show you a little bit now. So the one that I'm more comfortable with is a growl that comes within. It's like a... It's like that.
Yeah.
There's also a higher one. There's like a... It's like a higher one as well.
You hear those on the tracks.
Yeah. So like very high and very low. You get a nice mix with the different types of techniques that is used.
Awesome. So why are you drawn to writing and performing metal music?
It was definitely the energy that I always saw with the performances and the loudness. I'm a very theatrical kid, so I just love energy and performing on stage. So when I see heaps of dudes and girls headbanging and running around the stage, it just hit me. And also, my father showed me a lot of classic rock, and that kind of transitioned me into the more metal stuff. And yeah, just from there, it clicked with me, and that's where I feel most proud and most comfortable.
Awesome.
You've just mentioned their classic rock and metal. Are those your two main influences?
Yeah, I'd like to say so. There are quite a few bands that I take from. Obviously, Metallica.
Oh,
I'm wearing the shirt. I'm wearing the shirt. That was my gateway band into metal. But I also like Alice in Chains, Tool. I like to take aspects of a lot of different genres of metal. Just, it's a nice grab bag whenever I'm writing a song. You don't know what you're going to get with me.
Awesome. And so we hear that you're playing Dig the Gig in the final tomorrow, which is the biggest university student competition for music students in the country. How are you feeling leading up to that?
Over the moon. Like, it's been amazing how much I've been able to achieve in this competition. Reaching the final is so big, and you know, I got to thank everyone that was with me for that, like the fans and my backing band. It's been awesome, and to know that LA is just that close. I'm so close to LA, it's amazing. So I'm hoping that everyone can get behind me at digthegig.nz, cast a vote. There's an online vote. I'm really excited to have this opportunity.
So is LA the prize?
LA is the prize. To perform in LA, that is the prize, yeah.
Awesome. Wow, all the best for that. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, good luck there. And you can catch more of Zed's music at Dig the Gig's National Final. And you can vote for your favourite artist online at digthegig.nz.
Now, Katie and Maddie are ready to take us through the top 3 stories for Kiwis this year. It'll be interesting to see what they've chosen, and they've taken over the stage.
Yep, that's right. We are the new hosts now.
What?
Just kidding, guys. Just kidding.
2024 has had its ups and downs for all Kiwis, and we have picked 3 of the top stories that have made headlines this year.
Number 3, it's all about that gold. New Zealand athletes bagged more gold medals at Paris 2024 than at any other Olympic Games in history.
I've got to say, what was your favourite gold medal moment?
Oh, for me, it's got to be Portia Woodman and the women's sevens team bringing that gold back to New Zealand.
That was a good one. Mine's probably Dame Lisa Carrington. Another 3 gold medals this Olympics. Absolute machine on the water.
Well, actually, speaking of water, at number 2, ferry and boat incidents were at a record high. Sailing to the other side. Yeah, right.
Into Islander, more like into Island.
Anyone got a good boat story?
Oh, look, I mean, it's not a good story, but my sister and her boyfriend actually got stuck on the Inter-Islander for 8 hours one day. Made it halfway, had to turn back. Actually, there was no problems.
Typical.
And our number 1 story, some 6,500 participants joined the record-breaking haka in Auckland in September.
Record-breaking? Who had the record before then?
Oh, I think it was France. I think they had about 4,000 people doing the haka.
What are they doing with the record?
That's true.
Look, who knows, but hey, at least we have it back.
Right.
Now we bring some breaking news to the wider world. Unfortunately, One Direction member Liam Payne has died at the age of 31. Investigations are still ongoing. The Daily Mail has reported that the star fell from a 3rd floor of a hotel in Argentina.
Wow, One Direction is all over the world. It's a sad day for
Absolutely
them today.
devastating news for sure. Now it's time for our next story. Historically, women have been underrepresented in the film industry, but surely that must have changed. One of our reporters looked into it.
Women have been instrumental in shaping the film industry throughout history, yet their contributions are often overshadowed as they continue to face significant barriers in accessing the same opportunities as men.
If you look at their directors list, literally 90%, maybe even more, are men. And that was really sad for me to see.
In Wellington, Massey University's Screen Arts degree is empowering women to take their place behind the camera, providing them the shot to get the shot. Student and president of Contrast, a club for women and gender diverse people in screen arts at Massey, Vin Billsborough, share how women experience misogyny within the degree.
It's a very ingrained thing because it's not overt misogyny. It's really hard to see and it's hard to call out because many people don't know that they're doing it. It's stuff like mansplaining or like controlling your role and like stepping in for you when you can do it. Just like small things that are really hard to notice, but they do hinder you, and especially in a film workplace.
In 1917, there were 17 films directed by women distributed by Universal. However, 100 years later, in 2017, there was only 1. This came as a surprise for Massey students.
It was 1? Really? Oh, that is shocking. Really? Just 1? Whoa.
Are you kidding me? Wow. That's hideous.
That's insane.
Yeah. That's disgusting.
Oh, no. That's zero.
Program lead of the Screen Arts degree, Professor Karen Loop, said in a statement that the lecturers are committed to amplifying underrepresented voices to empower the next generation of filmmakers, and that Massey inspires to create a more diverse future. Loop also said the gender diversity leading this year's major project and the success of their recent graduates show that they are making positive and meaningful steps in that direction. With support from Massey University, Contrast, a student-led club with over 120 members, shows the university's dedication to creating opportunities for women in film and the importance of community.
Now on the sets that I'm on, I'm seeing like so many of my women and gender diverse peers behind the camera. We know that we have that knowledge and that experience already, and it just motivates us to kind of step up towards those roles and feel confident with our abilities.
Massey University is working to empower women in film, but it's important to recognise the biases in a male-led industry. Overall, support and community are most important when it comes to creating a more inclusive future for all filmmakers. Paige Gill, Te Taniwha News.
That's crazy that there was only one female director in 2017.
Especially given 100 years before, there was many more.
Yeah. Who would you say is your favourite woman director?
Oh, for me, it's got to be Jane Campion. I saw The Power of the Dog a couple of years ago, which actually ended up winning Best Picture at Cannes in 2022. So amazing to see a New Zealand director succeeding on the big stage.
Yeah. Good
Great
pick.
stuff. Thanks.
Personally, my favourite is Gwen Isaac.
Amazing pick as well.
We would like to take this opportunity to appreciate the 16 women working behind the scenes here at Te Taniwha. Give a wave, guys. There they all are, working hard.
Good stuff, guys. Good money.
And we're in the gallery.
There we
Hey,
are.
guys.
Awesome.
We are super lucky to be working with women who will be the future of the film industry in Aotearoa. Speaking of inclusivity, Katie investigated what support university students with ADHD receive. Katie, can you tell us more about this?
Yeah, of course. So, figures show that approximately 1 in 20 New Zealanders have ADHD, which affects people's ability to make plans, complete tasks, and control impulses, all essential skills for university students. But advocates and students say that universities aren't doing enough to support learners with the condition.
Livy Finlater is one of 280,000 New Zealanders living with ADHD. She says it's made studying towards her degree difficult.
It's put a lot of pressure on me to try and do good when I find it really, really hard to get started and to get my work done. And then when I'm leaving things to the last minute, it can really impact my grades, which again impacts my mental health.
Livy believes students with ADHD need more support from universities, like exam accommodations, extensions on assignments, and increased awareness.
None of my lecturers really know too much, and the university itself hasn't really done too much to help with studying with ADHD.
Darren Bull of ADHD New Zealand says his son with ADHD has been able to thrive with help from his university, but support can be inconsistent.
We are aware, though, there's great variability amongst different departments and also different universities.
And many learners with ADHD have bad experiences studying.
It's not uncommon for those in their early 20s when they're diagnosed to have a view of the education as traumatic.
But do students know support is available?
Yeah, well, I don't know. If I had ADHD, I wouldn't know where to go to get help. No.
No. I mean, I know that there's a counsellor upstairs, but that's about it.
While others don't think current support is enough.
No, I think they just say, hey, if you need support, go ask for it. But some people don't know what to ask for when they need help.
I did have to get some help about trying to get my medication in Wellington, but apart from that, not much.
And there's little support for undiagnosed learners.
High costs and long wait times remain one of the biggest barriers to getting an ADHD diagnosis, making it inaccessible to many students. ADHD New Zealand warns that without support, many ADHD learners face higher rates of depression and anxiety and are more likely to not complete their degrees.
Advocates are hopeful proposed changes to renewing ADHD medication will make treatment more accessible. Katie Hunter, Te Taniwha News.
With us now in the studio is Kira from Disabled Student Support. Hi, Kira.
Hi, yes, I'm Kira. I'm from the Student Care team as a Wellbeing Advisor here at Massey. The disability team was supposed to come speak today, but they're busy supporting students. So yeah, I'll just speak to what we have at Massey.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming in today. So what support does Massey offer to students with ADHD currently?
Yeah, so I brought my notes just in case I forget anything, but starting first and foremost with the Disability Inclusion team. So their role is to work one-to-one with students and also staff members, so that staff members have an understanding of what kind of supports might be really helpful for neurodiverse people. And one-to-one with students, so they have an understanding of what kinds of resources are out there for them, things like apps, things to streamline organisational skills, help with procrastination, things like that. So they can do one-to-one support with students. They can also do reminders of things like, hey, in 2 weeks you have this deadline, so let's meet and talk before then. They can also do just general upskilling of staff members, like I said, through workshops, or they've done sort of like skills-based study sessions with students sort of at the beginning of semester to get people on track beforehand. And then, yeah, just various other things around the university. We've also got a counselling service. I think some people think of the counselling service as something you go to maybe if you've had a loss or a difficult life experience or struggling with your mental health, but it's also something you can go to if you have any goal, right? So if you're wanting to learn more about what is neurodiversity, what does that look like for me, and you know, how can I capture the things that I feel like are working really well, and support some of the things that, yeah, I just want to learn a little bit more about how my brain might adapt to the situation in a different way. So counselling service is a service you can access for that. And then we have our student care team. Student care team is a great place for staff and students to go to if they're not sure where else to go to. With all the services available, it can be hard to navigate. So that's kind of what student care was set up for, but also to continue with supporting staff and upskilling them with workshops and how to respond to students who are struggling with their studies or their mental health.
So a lot of students in the video said that they were not too sure where to go to get this support. So do you think that Massey is doing enough to put these services out there and make them known?
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of different things we should be doing, because obviously sending emails, students don't always answer that. It's the right timing of the year for things like that as well. We're moving towards social media a little bit more, but ultimately if students are saying, hey, look, we don't know these services exist, then that's absolutely something we want to respond to. One of the things we've done at the moment with that is, so there's a My Hub, which is sort of a portal for wellbeing events and services, but unfortunately that got rolled out during COVID, not to blame COVID, but that really kind of impacted students' awareness of that in itself. So we're trying to respond to that and also streamline what is on My Hub to have a neurodiversity specific page. We also try and respond to this around O Week or as part of our disclosures process in the halls, but of course that's only going to support people who come to those O Week events, which we know not everyone does, or who are in halls. So what we're trying to focus on at the moment is being more around where students are, so that we can get that direct on the ground feedback, because of course not everyone's going to fill out a feedback form as well. That feedback helps us let us know, like here today, that actually students aren't aware of our services and what we might be needing to improve on to be able to make that more visible.
Now, another concern that some students had was it is quite difficult at the moment to get an ADHD diagnosis, and with the costs and the wait times it can be quite inaccessible to many people. What is Massey doing to help students who don't have that ADHD diagnosis but are still struggling?
Yeah, that's understandably a really challenging thing for a lot of students. Definitely something that came on our radar in the last kind of year or so, particularly with more awareness online and social media. And that's kind of the description of what is this, what is ADHD, but not necessarily the what next. So the what next could look like assessment and diagnosis. All of the student services I mentioned can support with that, but also we developed our ADHD skills group. So that's not just for students that have ADHD. Actually, all of the services I mentioned, you don't have to have a diagnosis to access, but the ADHD skills group is specifically designed for anyone that feels that they might have challenges associated with ADHD. It doesn't matter what the cause of those challenges are, we just support with skills and understanding and strategies to make that fit better with studies, fit better with daily living, and of course supporting that self-kindness on that along the way as well.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Kira. We're now going to go to Maddie, who has the sport news.
Coming up is esports pulling focus from traditional sport. But first, Auckland is getting its own A-League football team.
After 17 years alone in the spotlight as New Zealand's only professional football team, Wellington Phoenix will have to make room with Auckland's return to the Isuzu Men's A-League with the new Auckland FC team. At Liston Boys High School, school counsellor and coach Alex Marshall believes that only positives will come from the new team.
I think it's the hope that comes with it. Obviously before there was the pathway of just Wellington Phoenix and maybe internationally, but I think now that there's the pathway for them, they'll have a bit more hope in their careers and actually pursue the sport.
Behind me is North Harbour Stadium, where Auckland FC has called it their training base since their first training sessions back in June of 2024. The club is striking up a solid connection with the local community in Auckland. Via social media, Auckland FC has announced that 20% of memberships will go back into local clubs, with $100,000 already invested into grassroots football.
I think money has always been a difficult thing for a lot of Auckland football clubs. I think the more that they put into it, the more that they can put into resources and coaches. The more resources and coaches you have, the better quality will be.
The voice behind many iconic Phoenix and national team games, sporting commentator Jason Pine believes that this is just the start.
Phoenix have shown what's possible. And you look at the players who have come through their academy and gone into the first team and then gone off to careers overseas. Libby Cacace, he's the best example. A guy who's now playing Serie A in Italy from a pathway in their own country. Auckland FC can provide exactly the same thing.
With that first historic game against Brisbane Roar coming up in only a few weeks, Auckland FC fans cannot wait for that first kickoff. Sam Morrow, Te Taniwha.
Amazing to see something for the football fans in Auckland.
Yes, hopefully this academy will help to grow the game in New Zealand. But more importantly, guys, do they have a team chant yet?
I'm not sure, but do you think you could come up with one?
Well, I was actually thinking about this before the show, and I just don't think it's morally right for me to come up with a chant as a Wellington Phoenix fan. I think it'd be something quite inappropriate that I just really couldn't do.
That's fair, we'll let you away. Do esports teams have chants?
Not that I'm aware of, but it is growing, so we might hear some soon. One of our reporters went down to check out the esports scene in Wellington to see if it's pulling focus from traditional sports.
Esports, or competitive video gaming, has grown into a multi-billion-dollar industry, attracting fans from everywhere the internet reaches. Its appeal among younger audiences is undeniable, with arenas filling up and streams viewed by millions online.
I think games are good because they're convenient and they help your communication skills.
But as the popularity of esports grows, some are wondering whether it's taking attention away from traditional sports. Coaches say they've noticed fewer sign-ups for physical sports in recent years.
A 2023 study showed that nearly 20% of kids are spending more time indoors playing games than on outdoor activities. Experts warn this could affect the children's physical development and overall well-being.
Exercise is very important in the development of kids. It promotes cardiovascular health, builds strong bones, as well as strong tendons and ligaments.
However, not all kids are choosing one over the other. Some say it's about balance, enjoying the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I play basketball outside with my friends, and on my spare time, when I don't play basketball outside, I play basketball at my home, playing consoles and stuff. Yeah.
So what's the best way forward? Surely it's about finding time for physical sports on the pitch, as well as relaxation, which could be in front of a screen. Nathan Clark, Te Taniwha.
Now, I do enjoy the odd video game every now and again, but I do love my sport. But I got to ask, what's the first game you guys remember playing?
Oh, I reckon I'd have to say Minesweeper on the old PC.
Minesweeper, classic.
Throwing it back.
Pretty vintage.
For me, it's probably Wii Sports Resort, if you guys remember
good
that.
one.
Of the best console games of all time. Golf, Island Flyover. What about you, Maddie?
Oh, it's got to be Club Penguin. Come on.
That's another good one.
Come on, it's got games within a game. It's perfect.
That's really awesome. Thank you so much for the sports today, Maddie.
No worries.
Our next story investigates why so many young people are drawn to the electronic music scene. We have a regular raver who will be visiting us after this deep dive.
As the beat gets louder, the energy lifts. Around New Zealand, electronic dance music, or EDM, is rocking the dance floors. But what is it that makes this music so addictive?
I feel like everyone has that
particular sounds that really reaches their heart.
It definitely changes my mood. I definitely like wake up, and if I put something on, it can get me out of bed quicker. You know, it can make me feel more creative, more inspired to work on my own music.
Through the challenges of recent years, from global pandemics to personal struggles, it's no surprise that people are turning to EDM to find comfort and stability. Music isn't just about escapism, it's a way to connect with others and improve mental health. We talked to practicing music therapist Chris O'Connor about his experiences.
I've seen, I do work in prisons, and I've seen men who are very aggressive, relax and reveal sides of themselves that maybe they would never otherwise get a chance to.
For many people, it's more than just music. It's a way to express themselves. Research shows that EDM creates a connection with those around you, breaking through many barriers that often apply in social spaces.
What the music does is it creates a space where we can be friendly, essentially. Like, I feel like music kind of requires that in a way to sort of work at its best.
From helping people to connect to improving mental well-being, EDM has become more than a soundtrack of the night. Rather, it's an important part of today's culture. As the beat goes on, it's clear that EDM music is here to stay. This has been Grace Lan to Taniwha News.
So now we've clearly learned that electronic music is both a vibe and a science. So we're all going to break it down for you here in the studio.
Yes, we are. We've got Teal, our in-house expert in the rave scene, with us.
Hey Teal, how's it going?
Good.
How often would you say that you go to a rave?
Maybe 1 to 3 times a week.
That's plenty.
That's way more than I go to. What about you guys?
We are both kind of grandmas, so we're in bed at 9 with a nice cup of peppermint tea. So
good on you.
Not a whole heap of raving
That's a
going
good night
on.
as well. What draws you to rave electronic dance music?
Oh, well, I mean, my parents are ravers, so it was always like a part of my childhood.
Runs in the family.
Yeah, but it wasn't really till I left home when I kind of got into it and got really obsessed with like raving history and culture, really. Yeah.
What would you say attracts people to this type of music? Because there's no lyrics to kind of relate to.
Well, I'd say that's kind of part of the magic. It doesn't matter what language you speak, everyone can enjoy it.
Awesome. So I think Teal is going to break down some moves for us. So feel free at home to get up off your couches and join us. But Teal's going to take us through a little dance.
Does this require stretching or a warm-up?
It is recommended if you want to stretch.
Okay, all right, it's getting serious.
Okay, well, if we're feeling shy, just start with a hand if you want.
Just a hand?
Okay.
If you're feeling shy.
I think I can do this.
Okay, when you're ready,
Grace is coping.
I'm going to bring in a foot.
Okay.
And once you feel like you've caught the rhythm, bring in your hips.
Hips?
There we go, Paris, he's a pro.
Shakira.
Awesome,
Okay.
come in crew, let's go. Let's show
Come
them
on,
the
everyone.
moves.
Hey,
Guys, we're looking good.
Come on, guys. Anyone going to get in the middle of the circle?
Oh, go Carla, go Carla.
Come on.
Our producer Paige, everyone. Alrighty, we're looking great.
Alrighty, guys. Now that's just been some awesome mahi from all of our reporters today. What was your favourite story, Jess?
Oh, look, the EDM's got us all up and dancing. It's been good. And I got to see Paris on the dance floor, which I think was quite a treat. And we would also like to say a massive thank you to Charlotte, Carla, Gwen, John and Adam for helping us make this show happen.
And now, from all of us in the
of the
studio,
studio,
let it go!